All right, guys. So tonight we've got some cameras here because we're actually going out to do some shooting, some photography and video tonight. So it's kind of excited. First time in a long time. Get to go out and hang out with some friends. So we're going out tonight to shoot. I don't even know what it's called. The full blood flower moon. Red something dwarf. Feels like something that should be in an upcoming like Blade movie or something like that. But it's supposed to be like once in a decade this happens. So we're going out to take pictures of it. I guess that's happening. So my question for me that I'm pondering is what camera to take. And that I'll be thinking about all day. And then what we'll do is you'll see some just little shots of us going out, which is kind of fun. And then what we'll do is tomorrow we will actually take the video and footage and kind of go through all the settings that I shot on the M50 and kind of what works and kind of where you need to be if you guys actually want to go out and do some shooting. Yeah. All right. Stay tuned, I guess. So kind of a fun night planned, sort of. It's probably one of the last nights that I get to see some of the guys that I have worked with actually over the last, well, probably close to the last 10 years. And the last time we'll probably get to meet really before we move. So kind of cool. And we're gonna go shoot the, what is it? The red blood flower moon. It's not really red where we are. That's really more West Coast. But at least where we are, we get to see a nice big full moon, I guess, is what I'm thinking. So I am going to be trying to do a little bit of vlogging on my ESR. And I'm actually shooting my ESR with my old 10-18 APS-C lens. So it's EFS lens. It actually does pretty good. But I'm shooting the moon and the 4K. I'm going to shoot it in 4K as well, and there's a big reason for that. I'm going to shoot it with my M50, not any of the Rs. So I have an RP, I have an R, I have an R6, but I'm going to shoot it with my M50, and it's because of all the crop factors of the M50. I'm going to get way more reach. So I got my M50 packed up with my Sigma 150 to 600 lens on it. So it should get crazy. It's like a 1.6 times multiplier for photos, and it's like double, so like a 2.5 times multiplier in 4K video. So we're gonna see how that works. All right, I'm gonna pack up the car and we're gonna head off. All right, so in the car, we haven't gone anywhere yet, but this is the beast that we're shooting with tonight. So this is the Canon M50. I do have it on a COM light. It's a M to EF or EF to M series adapter so that this lens will work on it. But yeah, the big bonus of this, of course, is that when you put this lens, which is a 150 to 600, on the crop body, you get a 1.6 multiplier. So that automatically puts this 600 up to close to around 1,000. It's just over 1,000, I believe. And then when you shoot in 4K video, you actually get like a 2.5 times multiplier. So I believe it's somewhere around 1,500, between 1,500 and 1,600. So hopefully that'll get me much closer to the big moon than if I were to shoot with my R. And even though this is lower megapixel, it's not low. I believe this is coming around 24 megapixels. It should still have plenty. So that's my hope. I am bringing my R with me, and if I need to change lenses, I will. But I think this is going to be a better option. I've been humming and hawing about it all day. All right, let's go shoot some moon video and photos. Shall we? Yeah. Oh, it's windy. It's windy. A little windy out, but look at that sun. Look at that sun. Oh, it's beautiful. Probably can't see it too much. Here's Dave. Yeah. So we're going to be shooting, I don't even know what it's called. The red blood velvet spider moon.
Super blood moon?
flower moon?
Super flower blood moon, something like that.
Something like that. All right, guys, so we are sitting here in front of the computer. It's not the best light, I know that, but everything's over there and it is what it is for now. Anyways, we've imported some of the photos and the video that we took last night, and we just want to go through some of it. Now, I was shooting again on a Canon M50, and primarily I was shooting just with the Sigma 150 to 600. Okay. So this was, just kind of watch it here. So I'm going to bring up, this is like one of the first photos. We'll just bring up this one. And you can see here, I'll just bring up this one here, how kind of hazy it is. Now, if I bring up the information on this, Canon M50, Sigma 150, right? F8 at 1/125th of a second is what I was shooting. ISO 2000. Now, at this point in time, the moon was really low to the ground and was getting a lot of cloud coverage. Okay, so you get really nice color when it's low to the ground, of course, but it's not as clear because, again, for one, the moon's not as bright. So it was a good shot, because when you go to take moon pictures, at least for me, you're going to be manipulating your settings kind of constantly, depending on all kinds of, the moon's going to get brighter as it moves. So kind of come back here, a photo like this one we took a little later. Again, there's that Sigma 150, right? ISO still 2000, f8 1/25th, and if we zoom in a little bit here, we're starting to see the moon come here, and we also are starting to see really how bright the moon is, you know, like it's really bright. So we start to look at it, and we'll go just a little bit further here. In this one here, for instance, my focus wasn't perfectly on, but I am getting better exposure. So again, 1/125th. I brought my ISO down now to 640 and still f8. Okay. Okay, finally the cloud starts to disappear, and it's risen enough now that we are starting to get some actual brightness coming from the moon. So here's kind of the first shot that I took that I actually was like, okay, no, our settings are close now. Now, the one thing you will notice, again, ISO 640, f11 now, so I've got my f-stop up to 11 versus 8, still 1/125th. We are getting a little bit of bloom. You see that? A little bit of that glow that's coming out from around the moon. It's okay, but like a lot of things, it's better, I find at least, to shoot a little dark and try to brighten than the other way, because we really don't want to overexpose, and if we can get kind of rid of that bloom, sometimes a little bit better. So, but this one was good, and again, full zoom, 600 millimeters with the M50, which is giving me a crop. So we're coming in around 1,000 millimeters. Move this over here. This one here, you can start to see it, I think. I've brought, again, a lot of that information down to darken. So ISO 250, f11, 1/125th. But again, if you zoom in here, right, especially if we get this, we're starting to even like see craters. Now, one of the things to kind of be aware of when you're shooting the moon, especially a full moon, you're not going to get that really nice definition that you see in a lot of photos that aren't full moons, because of the fact that the light is hitting it kind of direct on, which means you don't get a lot of shadows. And because the moon has a lot of craters in it, we're not seeing any of those shadows that would happen when the moon is not directly ahead of us but over and the sun's hitting it from the side, which is what happens when the moon is not a full moon. So we are seeing some of those craters up top here. So kind of nice, which is kind of cool. Scrolling down, this is where I started playing, because a friend of mine actually had a 2x, one of the Canon 2x adapters for his. He was shooting on a 70-200, so I asked if I could borrow it. So we look here, right? We'll bring this one up here, and again, this one here's a little not sharp. I have a better one here. It's sharp. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, right around there. So that one there is not too bad. And again, the more we kind of zoom in, it's harder to hit focus. Now, one of the things that you want to kind of do ahead of time, a few things, especially when you're shooting at such a long range, at least for me, these are things that I kind of learned at 600, about 1,000, and with the 2x on there especially. So a few things. You want to shoot manual without question. You're shooting full manual because you need to be able to really get those, fine-tune those little settings just to get it right. The other thing to realize, and it's kind of important, is even your tripod, for instance. A lot of tripods have that center column that comes up, right? So you can get that extra height. Don't use it. Don't use the center column. That center column is probably the least steadiest part of your tripod, really, because it's sitting in this little area and it can wobble. You and I don't necessarily see it with the human eye, but any kind of wind or anything, that thing just gets a tiny little bit of a wobble in it, right? So I would recommend not using your center column if you don't have to. Just get your legs up higher, right? And in instances like this, the heavier the tripod, really the better, because we want that weight, right, to really lock that camera down. If you bring like a carbon fiber tripod and things like that, they just have a little bit of flex. So, it's nice to carry, but not great if you and I are actually wanting to get shots like this where stability is really, really important, So that's probably the biggest one. Now, the other thing, depending on the camera that you have, on Canons, for instance, you can go into like zooming for focus, and in manual, you want to make sure that you have like your focus peaking turned on. So check the camera that you have and see if it has focus peaking, because what you'll see is, and on the M50 and a lot of the Canon cameras, you can set the color so that it tells you what's in focus. So you can see like a little red ring go around it. So as you're focusing, you can kind of just dial it right in and then come out of that zoom, and you should be as focused as you're kind of gonna get, right? But manual is best. Try not to use auto. Some autos work good, but the more manual and more dialed in we can be, the better. So this one actually, not too bad at all. All right, so I actually played with a photo, and I'm gonna just bring this one here because this is the one that I actually played with. So I'm just gonna duplicate it here, and we'll take this back to the original. So this is the photo, and I shoot JPEG and RAW. So you'll notice a big difference, right? When you shoot JPEG, I'll go back here, it kind of looks like this. And when you go RAW, it kind of looks like this. And this, of course, you get that, for one, you get that red color, which was really big on the blood flower moon, whatever it's called. But a little darker because that JPEG hasn't been doing anything. So we're gonna come in here and just play with this photo, because this is probably one of the photos that I like the best out of the ones that I took. And one of the things to kind of be aware of, things are falling apart behind me, is photography, like everything, personal preference. So I'm gonna bring up my edit here, and you guys can see here. It's funny because when I had that 2x adapter on, the camera didn't even see it as the right lens anymore. Now it says it's an EF 100 to 400, which it's not. But whatever, it does say, see, it has a 2 times on it, right? 2 times, cool. So first thing inside here, and I'm just using photos. You can use Lightroom, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just showing this in photos because it's a piece of software on Mac that everybody has. You don't have to have spent any money. So first off, I'm going to try to bring this up. So we're just going to use the light and just kind of bring it up a little bit. Now, it's doing all kinds of things in here, but I'm going to bring my highlights back up again a little bit because I like them a bit brighter. Shadows are good. Brightness is good. I don't necessarily like the contrast, so I'm actually going to bring the contrast down a tad bit. Okay, and same thing with black point. I'm going to bring that down a little bit because you can see over here in your histogram, right, what it's doing. Now that's already starting to look not bad. Now it's very red, and that may be something that you want, and if so, we'll leave it like that. If not, I'm just going to go up here where there's this color, and I'm going to slide it down to, I can tone it down a little bit if I so choose, and I can be like, I don't want it quite as red, but still a little bit of red to it, so I'm going to bring it in around here. And then honestly, for me, and this is just nice and easy, is we're going to go in here and we're going to do 2 things. We're going to just do a little bit of sharpening just to bring it up. Not a lot, but a little bit, just to give it a little bit of punch in the sharpen. Basically, I'm trying to get these craters to stand out a little bit more. And I'm also going to go into definition, and same thing. You can see when you crank that up what's happening. Don't want to go too extreme, but somewhere in there. And you know, that's a nice, now that's a nice photo, I think. The other thing to kind of just be aware here is this photo, and we'll bring up the inspector again, right? ISO 250, you'll see here it says 1200 millimeters because it was 600 times 2, 1200. But you got to remember, you got to add a 1.6 times multiplier to it, so you get even closer. F16 and 1/250th, but 0 bloom, right? See how there's like no bloom happening around this, which is fantastic. And if we zoom in there, we're starting to see the crater action. And even here though, we're starting to see a little bit of noise. So you could go in here if you wanted and put some noise reduction. The photos noise reduction, I don't really see it doing a whole lot, but I guess anything that helps is worthwhile if you so choose. So those are kind of the settings for photos, right? ISO 250 or 1/125th, usually a good place to start. Your f-stop, normally I would say kind of start in that f11 area. It's usually good. You can kind of go up and down depending. And set your ISO to around, I set it as low as my camera would go, which was 200. So 200 is what it was, and that's where I got the best results. Now, the other thing to kind of realize, and I'll just kind of close this for a second here, is just to kind of show you, is we also did some, and you saw it in the beginning there, some video, and the bonus is I got even closer with the video. So the video on the M50, you know, it has that 1.6, but then when you go into 4K, it adds another multiplier, and I believe it's 1.7. So I was actually shooting with all the multipliers in video close to 3,000. So 3,000 millimeters. So you get a shot like this one here. Now, a few things, you can see it. I'll kind of go back here and turn my volume off here. This is it kind of creeping up behind the clouds, but same kind of focus. I did go in here again and play a little bit with sharpening. That was really about it. Just a little bit of sharpening and just a little bit of fine tuning inside the color correcting. So bring the blacks down, bring the mids up, things like that. You can really start to see it here. And this is just the 150 to 600 with the M50 multiplier. Gives you a shot like this, and quite lovely actually. Like, I'll bring this full screen for you guys just so you can see it right here. Just kind of pop it up there. There it is. Come on, that's a nice image. And you can actually, because it's 4K, if you really wanted to, you could actually get a really decent frame grab, like a still image from this. You still get about 12 megapixels, so not bad. It's the same kind of resolution that an iPhone puts out. So that is lovely. Now, one of the things you will notice, and you may see it here, if you watch, there's this little bit of a wavering, right? Especially here. So this is where I actually switch and put that 2x multiplier on again. So I'm actually stacking adapters. So I'm coming out of the M50 into the EOS M to EF adapter. From that adapter, I'm going to the Canon 2x, and then I'm going to the Sigma lens. I wasn't even sure it would work, but it did. Now realize that because of that, you're losing a whole bunch of stops of light, which is why I had to shoot, I believe, at like f16. But you get this, which is fantastic. Now you will see that shimmer, right? That shimmer in there. And there's not much you can do about that shimmer. That shimmer is because of atmospheric reasons, right? When you're in this close, especially, you are seeing that kind of waver. Just like if you were to look at a road and there's a lot of heat and humidity, you get that shimmer where everything looks like it's wavering on the road because of heat and humidity. It's the exact same thing. What happens is we're magnified in so much that we are seeing it. So we see this real shimmer here as the camera is trying to look through all kinds of atmospheric things. But it worked great. The moon travels incredibly fast, or it seems to, when you're actually zoomed in this much. You can see this traveling here. This is real time, right? That's how fast it's traveling through my lens. Quite quick. So there you go. M50, right? The M50 with the 150 to 600. Awesome. You throw that 2x on there. Super cool. Just realize that you do need a really, I would say, a fairly decent tripod. And no wind. If you can get no wind, we had wind a little bit, actually a fair bit. So I shot a lot more video that you guys aren't seeing that it was just like, nah, that's unusable. So look at that, hey? That is lovely. Look at those craters over on the top right-hand side. Now I want a 2x multiplier. I want to thank my friend Dave for letting me borrow his, because that was awesome. I'm gonna have to go get one. And I now want to shoot, when it's not full, so that I can get more of those cratery shadows, I think. Yeah. All right, guys, that's it. Shooting the moon with the Canon M50 and the Sigma 150 to 600, and a little bonus, it works with a 2x Canon multiplier. Yeah. All right, my friends, that's it. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll have more videos. Probably, well, we always have more videos, but probably more photo videos once we relocate, which is happening fairly soon. All right, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that little notification bell, and we will see you guys next video. Later, my friends.